I'm having terrible cravings, Tara. What should I do?
So this is
Sometimes I do have terrible cravings.
Yeah, we all have terrible cravings from time to time. But what do you do when you're just staring just terrible, overwhelming cravings in the face? Well, you're listening to the video, so that's step one. So there's a couple things that can cause cravings. And yeah, I hear all kinds of people say, oh, it's a deficiency for this, it's a deficiency for that, but really not necessarily. When you're facing really strong cravings like that, it's usually not a deficiency. So first of all, high levels of cortisol. So if you've been under high levels of stress and your body's ramped up cortisol production, that will lead you to want to eat. That's just how cortisol works. It will lead you to want to eat food. And we automatically kind of turn towards foods that comfort us. So that's the other thing. If you're under a lot of stress and you're feeling emotionally and stress just drained from your body, we often turn to foods to comfort us because it does have a dopamine response in the brain. It does reward our brain and make our brain feel happy, at least in the short term.
Yeah.
So a lot of times you'll hear people say that a craving is an emotional event. So you could tie that in with the stress response and higher cortisol. If you're very emotional, if you have a really hard, stressful day and you get home and you're just slammed with cravings, there's a couple things probably going on there. You've heightened your level of cortisol because your body's just in that stress response, and you're just seeking comfort from food because your brain's going to get dopamine. So I define craving as a desire to feel differently. So you're feeling stressed, right? Yeah. You're feeling emotional, you're feeling frustrated, angry, whatever that emotion is, and you want to feel differently. You want to feel comfortable. You want to feel relaxed. You want to have a good night's sleep. You don't want to have to worry about whatever's going on in your life.
I want to add one thing to that. Because I think, and maybe you out there have heard of this, and I know you have, is decision fatigue. We have I'll call it a muscle. It's not a muscle. It's just like this muscle in our body that allows us to make decisions. And as we use that muscle during the day, it gets weaker and weaker. And once that muscle is to the point where it can't, lift the weight anymore, it becomes, you're just like, screw it, I can't make these decisions anymore. I'm just doing. But it's something you can exercise, and it's something that you can help avoid by reducing the amount of decisions that you have to make during the day.
Because have you ever walked in the house and your kid runs up to you and starts asking you like 20 questions? Can I? And you're just like, That's exactly what you're talking about.
Part of it, yeah. You've been at work all day. You've been making decisions. You've had to answer a lot of questions. Maybe you had big decisions you had to make. But eventually, at the end of the day, you're just tired of making all these decisions, and you just give in to the easiest path.
And the easiest path is reaching for the thing that your brain knows that you're going to get a quick dopamine hit off of.
Yeah.
So what can you do? Well, understanding this is the first thing, and catching yourself. And it takes practice, and you're not going to be successful every single time at this. But it's asking yourself, okay, if I eat the thing, am I 20 minutes after I eat the thing, am I going to feel good about what I did? No. If it's a carb, if you reach for the bag of chips, no, you're actually going to feel worse than you did. You know how you're going to feel. You're not going to feel happy you did it when you wake up tomorrow. It's going to add more stress, and then it can cascade over and over again. So it's about just practicing that pause and saying, okay, well, what can I actually do? It's usually the thing you don't want to do. Go on a walk, do the yoga. If you have to, listen to a podcast and go on a walk. If you need to go to the gym and do 20 minutes on the elliptical and watch your favorite show. Just getting yourself into a different activity that's going to support your health and that stress response. Because you want to do something to mitigate the stress response that's happening in your body. Because if you leave that cortisol level high, what is your sleep going to be like?
It's not going to be as good.
It's not going to be great. And you're going to wake up in the morning and repeat that and allow it to cascade. So if you're someone who's just a very emotional person, you have a lot going on in your life right now, and you're really facing cravings, or maybe you just have a high level of stress because of your daily work, then think about things that you can do to help calm your body down in the evening that doesn't have to do with what you're putting in your mouth. That could be a very dirty response, right? So one more thing for women only. So we have to consider our hormone fluctuations throughout the month. And so most women will notice that they're hungrier up to 7 days before their menstruation starts. And that's actually normal in that luteal phase of our menstrual cycle. So this is when our estrogen levels are low and our progesterone levels are high. And this is actually, according to a number of experts, a great time to increase carbs. So those 7 days before you start menstruating. So you could do that maybe by eating more leafy greens, more vegetables. You can do that through maybe extra nuts, some very dark chocolate. I like 88 or 92% dark chocolate. I mean, I will have a piece every single day in that phase. But just think about what nutrient-dense foods that are a little bit higher than carbs than you normally eat could you introduce during that 7-day window. It's also a great time to limit your fasting. Like, don't undertake a long-term fast during that time of the month. You know, instead, maybe you just do 12 or 16 hours. It just works better with the rhythm of our bodies as females.